We fend off Ivy, recover the Ring of the Sage Lord and awaken Emblem Leaf. An urgent report arrives about the illusion forces that have amassed with their king on the Brodia Illusia border. King Morian speeds off to the battlefront, though not before contributing 30,000 gold to our cause, which I immediately reinvest into Brodia. With Emblem Roy and Leaf, we gamble on their respective banners. Clan is trained to level 8, I somehow have another D rank meal with Diamant and Alfred, we burn those calories off with some push-ups, and I maximise my bond with Sommy. I then go over to the newly unlocked fishing activity, which is far less rhythm gamey than Three Houses, and a bit more relaxing. We reel in a few fish, including the bonus one available, and get bond fragments and ingredients. In the item shop, I purchased the newly added staves. Rewarp, which allows the user to teleport up to 5 tiles, an extra obstruct staff to eventually replace the one we currently have, and a restore staff for status ailment curing. While there are new weapons, to me, none of them were worth investing into at this time. And with forging, I engrave the Emblem of Genealogy to our killer lance. Clan and Louis have their 2-sentence bonds with Celica and Marth respectively. Then we move on to the support conversations. Alir catches Jean picking herbs that is starting to become scarce in his hometown, and Alir offers to help to lessen the burden on Jean. The early bird Alfred encounters the night owl Diamant, who was up all evening drafting requests for military funding. Alfred sympathises with Diamant's plight, and eventually they go for a morning stroll with some casual talk, like finding out what each other's favourite muscle is. Personally, mine is the calves. And as strong of body, strong of heart as we can be, we travel east to the frigid fort on the border. Diamant returns the Ring of the Young Lion that King Morian foolishly didn't take, due to his Brodian pride of wanting a fair fight, which only serves to handicap him. The conflict ensues and King Morian utilises his cutscene powers to one-shot the corrupted in his path, to engage in a one-on-one fight against King Hyacinth. They exchange physical blows, and on Hyacinth's turn, he equips an emblem ring, restrains Morian, and then the Lady of the Plains lands the finishing shot. The illusions drag King Morian's body away, and Ivy is commanded to futilely hold off our forces without an emblem ring. On preparations, we have a large map with the enemies in the north having numerous axe units, and a cross formation of armor knights with lances and a mage, with one of the knights wielding a magic-based weapon, which is mirrored on the south except with a lance focus, and axes on the armors. Ivy is on the far right side of the map with her retainers, 2 chi adepts, and 3 axe cavalries. In the centre of it all is the recruitable character Jade, who will meditate there until we talk to her. Considering the flyers on both sides, I swap Citrine for Etier. I present Alfred with Leaf, Alir with Celica, and Clan takes my newly acquired Asbel A. Everyone's equipment gets shuffled around, as well as their positions, and we start the map with the goal of defeating Ivy once again. We start turn 1 by splitting the army into 2 teams. For Team North, we have Louis, Alir, Clan, Unica, and Etier. And for Team South, it's Diamant, who I have Emblem engaged from the get-go, Alchrist, Alfred, Chloe, and Jean. Ivy commands Zelkov and Kagetsu to make their way to the northern and southern forts. Jade gets sandwiched between 2 armor knights who will be focused on her for the map. Louis removes almost half of a corrupted's life, while Diamant doubles and deletes one on his side, and is then attacked again by a Pegasus Knight. The remaining enemies that are close to us come even closer. Then Zelkov and Kagetsu move as commanded, and Jade uses a vulnerary. Turn 2. Alchrist snipes the 4 HP Pegasus Knight, followed by Diamant felling the corrupted further ahead, and the remaining flyer is taken down after 2 more javelin shots. Team North has Etier one-shot a flyer on their end too, bringing her to level 8. Clan burns down the corrupted, then Alir, Louis, and Unica team up and take down the other flyer, bringing Unica to level 9. The mage the North team left alive launches a thunderbolt at Louis. The armor knights surrounding Jade continue their onslaught. A few more Pegasus Knights approach, while Zelkov and Kagetsu are now 1 turn away from reaching the forts. Jade uses a vulnerary again, then we're on to turn 3. Unica and clan hunt down the Thunder Mage. Etier shoots down the approaching flyer, then Louis moves forward and heals up with the Vulnerary. With the North team in the clear, Alir Emblem engages and Warp Ragnaroks to Jade's side. In the south, Alchrist mirrors Etier's actions, while Jean, Alfred, whose Emblem engaged, Diamant and Chloe cautiously proceed in and around Zelkov's attack range. The Armor Knights around Jade attack again, then Zelkov and Kagetsu commandeer the forts. Jade heals one more time, then at the start of turn 4, Corrupted that are similar in strength to Kagetsu and Zelkov themselves are released from the forts. Alir begins by making Jade a blue unit and then echoes a Seraphim attack on both Armor Knights. Team North sends Louis to the map boundary and he Emblem engages, both pushing our line forward and keeping him out of reach of the Armor Slayer wielding Corrupted. I then take my chances and bring Clan and Etier into Kagetsu's attack range, hoping he will stay on the fort, which... No, bad boy, stay on the fort. Stay on that dang fort, dang it! Well, that marks Etier's third death this playthrough, and we go back to after Alir's move with this newfound knowledge. Jade takes out the soldier north of her. Louis does the same moves again, but this time uses a Vulnerary to account for any critical hits Kagetsu might deal. Unica moves along and heals with the Vulnerary as well, and I ensure Clan and Etier stay out of Kagetsu's attack range this time. Alfred starts off Team South, and as it turns out, Emblem Leaf did have an engage attack, but for some reason Ivy didn't have it last chapter. Anyway, we use Quadruple Hit to slash, stab, slam and pierce Zelkov into retreating. Diamant moves in front of the topmost dagger Corrupted without attacking, and Alchrist takes a longbow shot at it. Chloe mimics Diamant, but with the bottom dagger units completing the wall. If you've been paying attention to my timeline counter as well as the charges I had left, my first South team idea looked like this. And you can probably see the glaring hole in this plan, and why it's needed to be changed. Now that I've addressed the missing timeline, we move Jean to end the turn. Alfred gets poisoned, but he manages to return a low hit rate elimination, and he levels up to level 11. Diamant avoids getting poisoned himself, but both he and Alfred suffer a savage blow on the aftermath. Jade gets a crit on her remaining aggressor. Louis is struck by one of the Corrupted, and then by Kagetsu himself. And finally, the Armor Knight squads march toward us. Turn 5, Etier takes out the Corrupted Louis Lord. Louis stays put and knocks out Kagetsu with Lodestar Rush. Alir rushes back to his team and severely weakens the Corrupted with Seraphim along the way, and Clan finishes it off. Jade decides to aid the team with her Prince. Alchrist eliminates the last Corrupted. Diamant moves forward without attacking again, just in case he fails to dodge the heavy hit he would have received. Though with Alfred I do take the risk to attack, because he's on the fort, and he successfully smashes and breaks the Magic Axe Soldier. Jean Emblem engages to heal Diamant and Alfred, then the turn ends when I move Chloe forward too. Diamant dodges his attacker and retaliates with a crit. Alfred deals a crit of his own but unfortunately misses the coin flip this time and gets smashed back, leaving Chloe open to 2 attacks that lead her to an unfortunate fate. Thanks to that chain of events, we go back to after Alchrist attacked, and this time take an unusual approach. Chloe takes initiative this time to throw a javelin at the El-Surge Mage and retreat. Jean engages again and uses Obstruct to make a wall of ice from the fort. Alfred breaks the ice in front of him so Diamant can take its place. Diamant is attacked by the Magic Armor Knight and he avoids getting smashed. The next Armor Knight is forced to shatter the ice pillar in front of them, allowing one of their allies to hit Alchrist. The El-Surge Mage gets their guaranteed hit on Diamant, but is unable to quench his flames and drops their tome. The remaining Armor Knight attempts to end this timeline, and fortunately, Diamant evades. Louis is struck by the other Magic Armor Knight with a fireball. Then the next soldier comes along and is greeted to the pointy end of Louis' rapier. Clan is heavily injured next, but also leaves their attacker near death too. And the last Armor Knight and Mage close in. Alir starts turn 6 by armor slaying the soldier next to Clan. Clan uses L-Surge on the magic armor knight and comedically takes 0 damage during the drowning process. Louis pokes the last northern armor knight to death, and levels up to level 11. Unica poisons the mage, then Etier moves to Louis' side and does nothing, because I forgot that the only longbow I had is on Alchrist. Thanks to all the attacks he endured, Diamant can engage again, and unleashes Blazing Lion on the armor knights north of him to get to level 12. Alchrist pulls back to take a few potshots at his attacker, which lets Jade add a strike of her own, and Alfred joins in too, as well as Chloe. Stupidly, I move Jean down, thinking that he'll be able to tank a magical hit from the magical smash axe, and I use Great Sacrifice, forgetting that it sets his HP to 1, and I pay the price for it. "Ah, Prinny, you dapper fool," I hear you say. "You should have equipped the Shine Tome on Jean beforehand, which would have avoided this situation." And that's exactly what I do. Alternatively, I could have just not put Jean in harm's way in the first place, but whatever. As for everyone else, Louis is sliced and diced by the Wind Mage. Alfred and Diamant dodge then strike back at their respective attackers, and Chloe gets broken. Turn 7. Alchrist, Jean and Alfred take out an armor knight each, with Alchrist leveling up in the process, while Etier eliminates the mage on her side, taking the spirit dust off their cold, dead hands. For the rest of this turn, and the next few ones, it's mostly getting everyone in range of the final engagement for this map, with the only notable actions being Alir and Jean taking the central emblem energy tiles, then on turn 9, setting up the Unica bait, and initiating the conflict with a javelin throw from Chloe. With the successful provocation, Ivy flies in and is poisoned. Her cavalries follow, and one of the Chi Adepts activates Chain Guard for her protection. On this final turn, Chloe commences the assault with an override and receives a Steel Hand art during the attack. Etier finishes the remaining Chi Adept. Alchrist and Clan solo cavalry unit each, with Clan hitting level 9, while the last one is dealt with a Diamant and Jade combo. Jean unleashes Great Sacrifice again, leveling to level 10. Alir Warp Ragnarok's in, Unica breaks the Revival Stone, and Alfred ends things with quadruple hits.
This is my fight. Here goes! I won't follow you. Father, I'm sorry.